a NoMoreStinkyMonkeys.com production. Some of the acts on this list do not have a very strong awakening story for me. This next act is one of them. Simply put, I joined the Columbia Record Club in the 80s for the 13 albums for 1 penny offer in the TV Guide. Once I was a member, I'd get these catalogs filled with what we used to call bargain bin record sales. Entire albums for sometimes as little as $1.99. But the records they were offering were often top-notch, many of them greatest hits records. Now, there are some bands where you feel like you need the whole album, and then there are groups where just having their greatest hits is fine. So I built up my record collection in a few years off these bargain greatest hits. This next group was one of them. Again, I didn't realize all these classic songs were theirs until I listened to it. The only thing I did know was that their founding member also started another classic band right after this, and I had to know about his earlier work. Several of this band's songs form a kind of soundtrack for the early 60s, and that's why they are number 163, the Hollies. Started by Alan Clark and Graham Nash in 1962, these two were best friends from grammar school and began performing during the British skiffle craze of the late 1950s. Originally, they were a duo named Ricky and Dane Young. Then they hooked up with a Manchester band named the Four Tones, but then left in '62 to join the Deltas. It was at a December concert that they named themselves the Hollies, the name a combination of their appreciation for Buddy Holly and also the Christmas garland bush. In January, they performed at the famed Cavern Club and were seen by a producer from Parlophone Records. They were now a three-part harmony band in the Mersey beat style, and their debut single came out in May, a coaster song called Ain't That Just Like Me. It hit number 25 on the UK charts. They released hit after hit in England, but had a hard time developing an audience in the US. Finally, in 1966, they made the US Top 40 with Look Through Any Window. But their first top 10 hit came that June with Bus Stop. In '67, two of my favorite songs were released, On a Carousel and Carrie Ann. Graham Nash wrote a psychedelic album after that called Butterfly, but it bombed. And then his bandmates started losing faith in him and wanted to stick with their pop direction, which Nash didn't. He wrote Marrakesh Express for them, but they didn't want to perform it. Instead, the band made an album of Bob Dylan covers, but Nash was not happy at all. He left the group in September '68 and joined former Byrds singer David Crosby and former Buffalo Springfield guitarist Stephen Stills to form Crosby, Stills and Nash. And their first single was Marrakesh Express. The Hollies have never broken up officially, and despite having new members over the years, they continued to perform. They had a couple of hits after Nash left, including He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother, and Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress. In 2010, they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Hey, Carrie Ann, what's your game, girl? Can anybody play? From the Freditor.